Hello and welcome students to the third part of the second chapter of Civics, Diversity and Discrimination. But before we move ahead, let's recall what we have learned and understood in our previous videos. Children, in our previous videos, we studied the term prejudice. We understood that prejudice means to judge other people negatively or see them as inferior. We also studied the term stereotype. Do you remember that? Yes, it's when we fix people into one image and that image is created by us and it is known as stereotype. We also studied children that this prejudice and stereotype both leads to discrimination in our country. Let's move ahead, children. We all know that people are engaged in different kinds of work like farming, teaching, cleaning, etc. to earn their livelihood. But as we have studied in prejudice, we have divided some work with greater value and we have considered some work with less value. For example, works like garbage picking, hair cutting, and cleaning are considered as the work of less value, and people who do these work are seen as dirty and impure. Children, this belief is an aspect of caste system. Children, in this caste system, the communities or groups are placed in a sort of ladder where those placed at the top considered themselves as upper caste and saw themselves as superior, and the other group or community placed at the bottom are seen as unworthy and are called untouchables. Children, these untouchables or lower caste address themselves as Dalits because they don't consider themselves as untouchables. In fact, they say Dalit means broken, and this word Dalit shows how social prejudice and discrimination has broken the Dalit people. The government referred to this group of people as scheduled caste. Children, do you know this caste system has set up certain rules for the untouchables? They were forced to pick up garbages and remove dead animals from the village. They were not even allowed to change their occupation if they wished to do so. And they were also not allowed to enter the houses of upper caste people, nor to take waters from the village well. Children, these untouchables or Dalits were not even allowed to enter the temples. And do you know, even the Dalit children could not sit next to the children of other caste in the school. Don't you think so? These rules were hurting the feelings of the Dalits, as these upper castes acted in the ways which did not give the so-called untouchables the same rights which these upper caste people were enjoying. Children, let me tell you something about Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar. He was considered as the father of Indian Constitution. He was one of the members who wrote the Constitution, children. He was also known as the leader of Dalits. But do you think so why he was called the leader of Dalit? He was called because he fought for the right of the Dalit community. Children, he led many efforts for the Dalits to gain entry into the temples as they were not allowed to enter the temple. He also urged the Dalit to take on different kinds of government job. Children, Dr. Ambedkar, being born into the Meher caste, was the first person from his caste who completed his education and went to England to become a lawyer. He also converted himself into Buddhism in search of the religion that treated all members equally. Let me tell you the story of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar when he was a child. Children, he too faced this caste-based discrimination. It was in the year 1910 when Dr. Ambedkar was only 9 years old. He went with his brother and cousin to meet his father at Koregaon. They were waiting at the station for his father or his father's servant to come and pick them up, but no one came. At last, the station master asked him where they have to go. He was so very concerned for them. But as soon as the station master learned that they are from Mahar community, he also went back to his room. Children, the Mahar is one of the communities which were treated as untouchables in Bombay Presidency. But children, after half an hour, the station master again came and asked them whether he could help him or not. And he helped them by negotiating with the bullock carts plying for hire. But do you know, all the bullock cart people refused to take these children to Koregaon as they considered that these untouchables would make their carts polluted. Children, these children, that is Dr. Ambedkar and their brothers, were ready to pay them double money to go to Koregaon. But the bullock cart people just refused them. Imagine, children, how hurtful and insulting it is to have people refuse you to touch you or to allow you to use the resources which they are using. Children, through this story, we understood that caste-based discrimination denies Dalit from certain economic activities. They also denies Dalit from the respect and dignity which is given to other people. Children, along with the struggle of freedom from the British rule, we Indians fought one more struggle, that is the struggle of equality. The struggle of equality for the Dalits, women, tribals, and peasants. The Dalits organized themselves to gain entry into the temples. Women demanded that they should have as much right to education as men did. The peasants and tribals fought to release themselves from the grasp of moneylenders and the high interest they were charged. Our leaders were too concerned with this inequality which existed in our country. So, in the Constitution of India, children, by Constitution of India we mean a document that laid out rules by which the nation would function. So, children, in the Constitution, following rules were mentioned so that everyone has equal rights and opportunities. The untouchability is seen as crime and has been legally abolished by the law. The second rule was that the people are free to choose the kind of work they wish to do. Government jobs are open for all people. The writers of the Constitution also said that respect for diversity was a significant element in ensuring equality. They felt that people must have the freedom to follow their religion, speak their language, celebrate their festival, and express themselves freely. They said that the government must treat all religion equally. In spite of these ideals in our constitution, children, inequalities still exist. It's because people struggle and positive action by government are necessary to make equality a reality for all Indians. That's all in this chapter, children. Hope you have understood how prejudice and stereotypes leads to discrimination and how this discrimination leads to inequality in our country. You might have also understood, children, that equality is a value that we have to keep striving for and not something which will happen automatically. Children, do read the chapter nicely so that you may understand the videos also very nicely. Thank you, children. Take care.